Welcome in to the Celtics Today mailbag. I am Will Scott, answering your questions live here during our live show. We appreciate everyone watching the channel. Shy Jr. with our first question. Thanks for the question. Should the Celtics keep Al Horford? Last year I made it a priority in terms of my perfect offseason video to say bring Al back. If the Celtics want to move on, I don't think they will. I would not blame them for doing so. He was very inconsistent in the playoffs. He got a little bit better in the Heat series as that series went on. I would say yes, I think they should, but he should not have a starting role on this team. He could be a productive player off the bench, but you should not start Al Horford. He should not be getting 25 to 30 minutes a game next year. That's my take on Al. I love Al. I think he should come back. I think he deserves a ring. I would love to see him win a ring in Boston. He should not be a starter, but he should come back. Aiden Beers, trade Jaylen for Shaedon, Sharpe, and picks. I think I'm going to want more than that when you're talking about Jaylen Brown. I think, and again, the question that Brad Stevens has to answer here is, if you trade Jaylen Brown, do you prefer draft picks and young players, or do you prefer a superstar like Damian Lillard? That is the difficult question that Brad Stevens has to ask if Jaylen Brown does, in fact, go on the trade block. Bryce Jenkins with an interesting question. Trade Jaylen Brown for Ja Morant. Wow. Ja Morant has been in some trade rumors. He's expected to receive a pretty massive suspension here after his latest Instagram live video that featured him holding a gun. We're still waiting word on the suspension there, so there's some talk that maybe the Grizzlies are fed up, they're disappointed in him, and they want to move on. So it is possible that Ja Morant gets moved. Now, is he a good fit in Boston? I'm not sure. Obviously, he comes with some baggage. Obviously, he comes with some concerns. And if you're talking about him getting suspended, let's say 25, 30 games, I don't know if I want him because, again, I feel like next year's championship or bust for the Boston Celtics. But you'd have to imagine that if Memphis did move Ja Morant, Jaylen Brown would be of interest to them. But to answer your question, Bryce, I'm going to say no. I would rather trade for Damian Lillard, and I know Ja Morant's the younger player. I'd rather trade for Dame if you're talking about trading Jaylen Brown for a point guard. Do you want to trade for Ja Morant? Type T for trade or type P for pass. Down in the comments section, let me know. Do you want to trade for Ja Morant? Interesting question there. Jeff Stamps, one of our most loyal subscribers. We appreciate you so much, Jeff. Will, what do you think is the best trade package if Brown wants to leave Boston? Jeff, this is a phenomenal question, and you'll be happy to hear that sometime next week we're going to have a video dedicated to Jaylen Brown trade ideas. Now, we broke down on an earlier show 2 trade ideas from Kevin O'Connor. I think both are decent ideas. The first trade featured a straight-up swap, and it's very rare that trades are straight-up swaps, so I'm not sure if it's realistic, but it's a decent idea. Trading Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard. That was his first trade idea. Again, just a straight-up swap. Might make some sense for both sides, because if the Blazers want to draft Scoot Henderson, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Dame to still be on the team. They could have Scoot and Jaylen Brown be that young star duo for years to come. Trade idea number 2, Anfree Simons, who is a good young player for the Blazers. The number 3 overall pick as well for Jaylen Brown. So Brad Stevens, again, has to ask the question, do I want a star player in return for JB, or do I want young players and draft picks? When you're talking about the best possible package for Jaylen Brown, I'm actually going to say neither when I'm talking about Kevin O'Connor. I'm going to throw this idea at you, Jeff. And Jack Lauderay is going to be very interested in this. Maybe not this exact package, but something like this. Trade Jaylen Brown to Brooklyn, who was linked to him a lot during the Kevin Durant stuff. Trade Jaylen Brown to Brooklyn for Nick Claxton, fills a big need for you at center and a defensive need, and Mikal Bridges. So trade Jaylen Brown to Brooklyn for Mikal Bridges and Nick Claxton. I think it might take a little bit more than that. You might have to throw in another player. You might have to throw in a pick. but trading Jaylen Brown to Brooklyn in a package that features Nick Claxton and Mikal Bridges, I think is the best possible package if Brown wants to leave Boston. Tiger DRXP, we appreciate you watching. Should we target anyone for the offseason for agency? Yes, the Celtics definitely have to make some moves. The question is, are they going to be aggressive or are they going to feel like they're just going to run it back? I think they got to target defense, Tiger. I really do. I really like the idea of Jeremy Grant. He's a free agent. Keep an eye on Jeremy Grant. You can go bet on the finals over at BetUS, and if you go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code CHAT125, you are going to get a 125% deposit bonus. That means if you put $100 into your account, you are going to start with $225 in your account. It is a phenomenal deal. Go and take advantage of it. Chatsports.com/bet with that promo code. Here are the odds for Finals MVP. So Nikola Jokic, minus 350. Jimmy Butler, plus 325. Who do you think is going to win Finals MVP? Interesting. I feel like, and this is interesting, I feel like a dark horse for this is Caleb Martin. And he's like plus 3,000. So if you want to go make some dough, I think I'm going to Mexico this summer. If I bet on Caleb Martin, that's going to pay for the entire trip. But those are the top two. Nikola at minus 350, Jimmy at plus 325. Go and place your bets on the finals. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125. Oh my God, it's a Chat Sports legend watching live. We appreciate Crimsdad. Is Jaylen Brown just another Julius Randle who performs like a star during the season but poorly in the playoffs? I wish we could get Marshall Green in here. I wish we could go get Marshall Green in here. I think he's doing a show right now. I'll say this, Crimsdad. Jaylen Brown was phenomenal in the postseason last year, and he was great in the finals. He was actually far better than Jason Tatum was against the Golden State Warriors in the finals last year. So I'm not going to go that far yet, but there's certainly some comparisons to Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, and I was watching Marshall Green do his Knicks show yesterday. He was comparing these two players. His producer Jack Lauderay's in my ear and saying it's the Marshall Green propaganda for our Celtics viewers that don't watch the Knicks Now show. Marshall Green is the host of that. That's why we're saying Marshall Green here. But yeah, you can certainly make that argument, Crimsdad. Jaylen Brown was not good in the postseason. He even made the comment after Monday's loss, that he failed this team this postseason. Dalton Lyles, Jaylen Brown to the Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets are certainly a team that we have heard linked to Jaylen Brown, mainly because of the Ime Udoka connection. I would put them right up there with any other team that might trade for Jaylen Brown. I think the top three contenders are the Atlanta Hawks, the Portland Trail Blazers, could see the name swap there, and the Houston Rockets. Those are my top three. Now, will Jaylen Brown be on the Celtics next year? Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comment section. Will Jaylen Brown be on the Celtics next year? I'm going to say yes. I do think they're going to keep him around, but it's certainly an interesting question that we're going to be asking this offseason. So be sure to subscribe to the channel because we got you covered on all things Celtics all the time. Hit that subscribe button below for all the latest Celtics news and rumors. Aiden McLean, Jaylen for Ant and Nas. Woo! Fire me up, Aiden. Jeff, you asked about the best possible package. That'd be phenomenal. I'll say this. There is zero chance that they would trade Anthony Edwards. It's just not going to happen. I love Anthony Edwards. In fact, when you're talking about guys that are not Celtics, he's probably a top three favorite player outside of Boston in the league for me. Love Anthony Edwards. Think he's just a lot of fun to watch, fun personality. Would love to have him in Boston, but I don't think they would trade him. I would put Ant on the same level as Jaylen Brown, honestly. So I don't even know if a straight-up swap would get that done. But Nas Reid, I love Nas Reid. I was saying during the deadline the Celtics should trade for Nas. They didn't. He would have been nice to have. He's named to watch this offseason, though. But in terms of getting Anthony Edwards, I just don't think that's going to happen, Aiden, unfortunately. Paul, how's it going, man? Let's concentrate on a big center that can play in a point forward or make Smart the point guard and get a shooting guard that's a great shooter. I definitely think that the Celtics need to add some shooting, Paul. There's no question about that. Bring back Derek White. I read some article that was like, oh, they might move on from one of Brogdon, White, or Smart. I don't think that guy should be Derek White. He was phenomenal. He's the reason he got to a Game 7. But yeah, you're right. I think the Celtics could use another shooter off the bench. Look out for Doug McDermott as a possible target in free agency. Kevin Jones saying, bring back Grant Williams. It's one of those things, Kevin, that I'm not going to have a problem with it either way. They don't bring him back, I would understand. If they bring him back, I'd be happy. But if they do not bring him back, and there was a lot of playoff games where he wasn't even in the rotation, I certainly would understand it. And let's say he gets, I don't know, I don't think he'll get this much, but let's say he gets like 17, 18 mil in offer sheet. I don't think the Celtics are going to match that. So it depends on the cost for me. I'm not willing to overpay for Grant Williams. Do you want to bring back Grant Williams? Chime in down in the comment section. Type B for bring back or type D for don't down in the comment section. B&A West, how's it going? 3-team trade idea. Celtics get Anfree Simons and OG Anunoby. Blazers get Brown. Raptors get 3rd overall pick. The Celtics would make out like bandits here if this happened. Obviously, the Blazers would be getting the best player in this deal, but the Celtics would be getting 2 starters in Anfree Simons and OG Anunoby. I love OG Anunoby. I see Adrian in our live chat. I don't think he's a fan of this trade. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I'm trying to think who would say no. I think it would be I don't know if any team would say no, because the Raptors might look to trade Anunoby anyway. B&A West, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a pretty solid trade idea. If one team says no, it might be the Celtics, because maybe the Celtics want a more established superstar for Jaylen Brown. But I might be in the minority here when I say this. I think this is a decent deal for the Celtics. I really do. Joseph Branson saying we need to move on from Joe Mazzulla. I disagree. I don't think they should, because Joe Mazzulla and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both said this exact same thing. He was in a difficult position getting promoted to head coach 2 days before training camp. He was thrown into the situation he didn't expect to be in. The Celtics had one of the best offenses in the league. They were second in the East. They made the Eastern Conference Finals. They were 1 game away from the NBA Finals. I just don't think you can move on from Joe Mazzulla. I think you got to run it back with Joe.